Let's look at 3 different ways to graph a line. The first way to graph a line is using a T-chart. Okay. So let's say I have the equation y equals 2x minus 5. What you want to do for a T-chart is you have your x values and your y values. And you're going to pick x values and figure out what the corresponding y value is that goes with that. So for the x values, we're going to pick easy values. So we're going to go -1, 0, 1, and 2. So if I plug 1 into my equation, sorry, -1, we would have here 2 times -1 minus 5 would be -7. Then if I plug 0, I have 2 times 0 minus 5, which is -5. If I plug 1 into my equation, I have 2 times 1 minus 5, which is -3. And if I plug 2 into my equation, it's 2 times 2, which is 4, minus 5 is -1. Now it might be good to have one point that is not a negative, so let's plug in 3 as well and see what happens. So we'll have 2 times 3 minus 5, which is +1. So now we're going to take those points and we're going to graph them on a graph, a coordinate system. That wasn't a very good straight line. Okay, there we go, that's better. So I have the point -1, -7, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, then we'll have the point 0, -5, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have the point 1, -3, so there's 1, -3. Then we have the point 2, -1, and the point 3, 1. Now you can connect all of these points using a straight line. Let's see if I can get it. And there's our line. There's our equation of our line, graphed onto the chart, or onto the coordinate system. The next way to graph a line would be to use the X and Y intercepts. And so if you have an equation, this is the best method when your equation is in the form that's called standard form. So let's say I have 2x plus 4y equals 8. What you're going to want to do to graph this is find where you cross the x-axis and the y-axis. So here, to find x-intercepts, what you need to do is plug 0 in for y. And then for the y-intercept, you plug 0 in for x. Okay, so let's take a look at what that would look like. So for the x-intercept, I would have here 2x plus 4 times 0 equals 8. So that means that 2x equals 8, so x equals 4. So that's where we're going to cross the x-axis. Now for the y-intercept, we have 0 in for x. So 2 times 0 for x plus 4y equals 8. You have 4y equals 8, so y equals 2. Now we're just going to use that to graph Let's do a better line than that to graph our line. So X is going to cross at 2. Nope, that's wrong. Sorry. X is going to cross at 4. That'll look at the right value. And Y is going to cross at 2 here. And we have our x-intercept and our y-intercept. From there, let's just make our line. Notice that the slope on that is decreasing, and you also have your x-intercept and y-intercept automatically because that's what you're doing. So this is a quick and really fast way if you can figure out how to find the intercepts, especially if they're whole numbers. Okay, the last way, and usually the most effective way, is to graph an equation is to put the equation into the form y equals mx plus b. So we know that m is equal to the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so if we know those two things, then if I have an equation in this form, so let's say I have y equals 4x minus 6. We can graph that line because we know our slope is 4. That means rise 4 and run 1. And our y-intercept is negative 6, so that means that is our starting point. So we go to our starting point here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 6 here. And from that, you're going to rise 4, run 1. So here we have, let's see here. We rise 4, run 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. That's better. And then let's do that again. We can rise 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. And we can put that point there. And then you have the equation or your graph really quick there. So you just find your slope and your y-intercept. You plot your y-intercept on the y-axis. So this is the y-axis here. And then you use, from that point, your slope. So our slope was rise 4, run 1, rise 4, run 1. So the only time this can get a little tricky is when you don't have your equation in the form y equals mx plus b. However, it's very easy to solve that, so let's take a look. So let's say our equation is 3x plus 2y equals 6. What you would want to do here is solve for x, or solve for y. So I'm going to go 2y equals 6 minus 3x, and then divide each piece by 2. So we get y equals 3 minus 3/2 x. So our slope here is negative 3/2. That means rise negative 3, run 2. And our y-intercept is 3. So you can put it into the correct form by just doing some simple math. Algebra, I guess, not just math. Okay, so we have here our y-intercept, which is 3. And then we're going to rise negative 3, run 2. So that's rise negative 3, run 2. Rise negative 3, run 2. And there we go. Whoops. There we go. There's our line.